Hello guys, what's up? It's Will back once again. Sorry I'm running a couple of minutes late. The Wi-Fi decided it didn't want to play and it wasn't letting me on here. So yeah, I am here. So I apologise for being a couple of minutes late. But we're here for the Cashlift, episode 5, talking about all things betting-wise for UFC Vegas. 19 Curtis Blaydes against Derrick Lewis as a main event. And we've still, as of Thursday night, 10 p.m, my side of the Atlantic, we have 15 fights on the go. So hopefully that kind of sticks around. Guys, if I'm having any problems with my Wi-Fi, please let me know if I'm dipping out or whatever it may be, because it's giving me, it's just jumping up and down here and it's all over the place. So so this is the Cashlift. We're talking about all things betting wise. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button if you're into kind of talking all things about betting, about the cards, whatever it may be. So like I say, if you're new to the channel, just try and support the channel if you can. And let's talk about some bets for this card. Overall, I have 2 bets so far, and we'll go through them once we get to the bets there. But I'm kind of going to go through every fight and see some of the spots that I kind of like, maybe some of the parlay pieces I like, some of the props that jump out to me. Like I said, I'm not a big prop better. I'm not very good at it, if I'm being honest with you. So, yeah, but like I said, I'm coming off a really, really good year so far. I'm up pretty well. I've started off, I think it's 4-1 for my first 5 events of the year. So I'm looking forward to kind of keeping that running, and hopefully we can run into more profit this week. I think this card's a little bit, I like some spots, especially the bets that I've made, but it's iffy. The pick 'em fights at what I got them at. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of talking about some of these fights here, and I'll dip in and out of the comments when I get an opportunity there. Alistair, what's up, my man? Hope you're very, very well. Thank you for jumping in and joining me here. So I'm going to bring up best fight odds, and we are going to go down to this card and let's see if we can find some value in some bets as of right now. So like I said, I do like 2 other bets. I'm probably going to be making another bet probably in the next 24 hours, depending where the line goes. I thought I'd see it go up a little bit more, but it's kind of stuck a little bit. So let me go and jump into the screen, the full screen there, and come into here. And yeah, so we're on bestfightodds.com, and we're going to start off with the fight at the bottom. I'll jump over to Topology, actually, guys. That's probably the best place to start. Sergey Spivak against Vander is our first fight of the night. I think it starts at like 9:30 UK time, so really quite early, which is decent. And considering that if we have 15 fights, it's a lot of action they have to get through. So I'm kind of looking forward to checking this one out. Like I say, you can see both guys here. 11-2 on the Spivak side, 11-4 on Vander making his UFC debut, coming off the win in the Dana White Contender Series. He is an underdog at the minute. Let me see what he is. Let me see. So he's plus 205. So he's still round about where he was kind of on Monday when I made my predictions, maybe a little bit higher. I thought this would have come down a little bit. I thought more money would have come in Vander. And as the fight weeks kind of went on, I like Spivak still. I'm still on that side. I actually quite like him via decision if I was picking a prop bet. I don't think you're going to get, or maybe even a submission, something like that. That wouldn't be too bad. But wins by decisions plus 150. I just think he's a little bit more well-rounded. I think he can hold out more over a 15-minute fight. So, like I say, it's not one I'm super confident in, but I do like Spivak to win. If you're getting it by stoppage, I mean, plus 600 heavyweight fights. You never know. One shot can change the game and can put someone down. So if you're into like these kind of things with heavyweight fights, then this might be a shot here that you can take. But for the most part, I'm kind of going to be staying away. I like Spivak to kind of keep him at the end of his jab, kind of keep it on the feet. The clinch up, I can see a little bit of clinch up with these 2 guys here, and it could play out to be a little bit sloppy, but I do like the Spivak side kind of as of right now, but I don't think I'm going to have any part of the fight. Some of the bets that I like with the the heavyweights is to start round 2. There's actually one that I like in the main event to start round 2, which is Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis. To start round 2 is like minus 225. I see that as a pretty nice parlay piece, honest, and I've used that recently to kind of great avail. So moving on, bantamweight division, we've got Eamon Zahabi against Draco, the Great Draculini Rodriguez. What kind of name is that? Jesus. I mean, Eamon Zahabi to me is just, he's not turned out to be a great fighter at all. I think he's kind of more living off that surname that his big brother has kind of made famous. He's not had the best runs in the UFC. This was sketch at the point. I remember when he came into the UFC, there was people on the Canadian fight scene saying he'd not fought the best caliber opposition. And then he'd been given Vera, and Vera was very tough, but he managed to kind of come through that. That was way back in 2017, over 4 years ago. By fight time, it's going to be 4 years. So that's a long time to kind of be sticking around and not kind of really progressing. This fight here, I don't want to say he was getting beat up for the majority of it, but the finishing sequence was brutal, and it wasn't a good look whatsoever, and that put him out for a year and a half. Came back against Vince Morales. Vince Morales is not even with the UFC anymore, so that's not a good look. And I think Rodriguez, although I don't think he is... I don't know what he's going to kind of be like in the UFC. I don't know whether he's going to accumulate a lot of wins, but he's very aggressive, pretty well-rounded. Loved this finish over man. When you kind of move over to the betting side of things, you've got plus 155 on Zahabi, minus 175. That's kind of stayed the same all week there. Like I say, Zahabi can fight tough, so again, kind of going where I like with Rodriguez. It might be decision. Like over 1.5 might not be a bad bet either, because Zahabi could maybe tough it out a little bit. So, like I said, I'm not really high on this fight kind of betting wise at all, if I'm being completely honest with you. Let me just see some of the over 1.5, minus 335. Nah. The under, don't particularly like that too much. The over 2.5, they're saying minus 225. That could hit. I don't see Zahabi being like overly aggressive like Manny Martinez was, and putting himself in a position where he could be caught in a submission. So for the most part, I'll be staying away from this fight in any way whatsoever. But Rodriguez inside the distance, that's probably not all that bad a bet. If I was to make one bet on this fight, it'd probably be Rodriguez inside the distance, because I think he's got opportunities to maybe hurt him in the feet, and then he's got the submissions there possibly as well to hurt him as well. But I like Rodriguez, but I'm seeing a lot of love out there for him regarding people playing him straight. I've seen people throw him in parlays. Can't say I'm the biggest fan of throwing him in parlays at minus 175. But yeah, we are moving on to Jamal Emmers, Chaz Skelly. And I picked Chaz Skelly as my prediction. I think, like I say, I'm expecting Chaz Skelly to come out here and start quick. And if he can get off to a quick start, I think that's what he has to do, because I think he's at a range disadvantage as well, I believe. Not by much. He is the scrappier guy, a veteran. Nothing really stands out, but he's very dogged. You'll see a win over there over Jordan Griffin. He was getting tagged up a little bit too much in that fight. Didn't like that too much. The Bobby Moffett one was one where that was just a kind of weird thing there where he won the fight, and then it got changed and all that jazz. But that was 2 years ago. It's kind of crazy how quick these go. And then he lost to Jason Knight, which is never really a good look, because Jason Knight did not pan out whatsoever. Then you go over to the Jamal Emmers side. Vince Cashero beat him up pretty comprehensively. I actually thought he looked pretty good there. Lost to Giga Chikadze in a very close split where he did not use his wrestling at all. And then Barboza, I think, is a good win. And then he's got some notable wins if you have a look through that as well. So let me see. Yeah, betting wise, let's see where it's at. Like I say, if you're looking for dogs in this card, I don't think Chaz Skelly is the worst dog in the world to play. Is it plus 195? But like I say, this card to me is a hard one to bet. I've got no, like in previous weeks, I really liked Alexa Grasso if she hit a certain number. Max Holloway, way back at the start of the year, was one I liked there. So I think if you're looking at Skelly to win this fight, it maybe be better to just go by submission, because I don't think he knocks out Jamal Emmers. But I think if he was getting to the ground and to use his wrestling, he could potentially maybe lock up a sub because, like I say, in the past, Jamal Emmers has made some mistakes on the ground, on the feet, being stopped. And I think that's a possibility with a guy who's scrappy, who will go for things like Chaz Skelly. Like I said, I don't think he hurts him in the feet, but by submission might be something that if you're one of these guys that likes to have a little sprinkle on props, I'm not. I'm just not a good prop better at all. I'm trying to figure out how I can get better at it, but I look at some of the guys who are good at it, and I'm just like, I don't know whether I see the paths to victory kind of all as clearly as what others do. But if I was to make a bet in this one, like I said, I picked Chaz Skelly. I'm going to stick to the Chaz Skelly side, but Skelly wins via submission, plus 640. I wouldn't mind a kind of little sprinkle on that if you've got a little bit of money lying about that you want to throw in something. But again, there's maybe better spots on the card where that could be a better bet in that spot. But like I say, I picked Skelly, not overly confident in that one there. So we're moving on to prelims, moving up the prelims here. Shayna Dobson against Casey O'Neill. Now, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about this fight, about both girls, about the levels of both girls. And it is right now a kind of low-level women's MMA fight, and you can never really trust those spots. I don't know how you can. Casey is very, very green in her fighting career. Obviously, came through Eternal MMA over there in Australia. 5-0 as a pro. I think these two, especially this one, I don't think it's so bad. When I thought she showed a little bit of progression with her game, you could definitely see the effects of going to Tiger Muay Thai and kind of try to round out a skill set, because I think her main base to her game is her takedowns, being heavy on top. I don't think her jiu-jitsu is super strong, but she seems to find herself in the position when she's up top, and she can be dangerous there. She's moving up to flyweight, which is a little bit. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. I think they're both a similar size, but like I say, she's not fought great competition, and coming through the Aussie kind of fight scene, you're not really going to get that all too much. But I do think she's very aggressive. She tries to get those takedowns. She tries to get to the ground. She can go for ground and pound. She can go for submissions. And when you look across at her opponent, Shayna Dobson, I haven't got fight metric here, but if you look up and you watch her fights, she has got terrible takedown defense. I think it's actually 0%. And she's not fought high caliber opposition. This one here is just that she's come through as a massive underdog in the Agapova fight, where she was getting her ass beat pretty handily, was getting taken down, and then Agapova just gassed herself out. Getting knocked out in 40 seconds to Cachoeira, that's not a good look. Sabino Mazo took her down 4 times, not the greatest look. Lauren Mueller got her down. I mean, Casey O'Neill is there to get takedown. She's going to bull rush across the cage and try and get Shayna Dobson down. I think if she can get her down there, I can see maybe Dobson making her way back to her feet initially, and potentially making it pretty close in the feet, because I think that's her opportunity to do so. Like I say, I'm seeing a lot of love for Casey O'Neill. I've seen a lot of people better at the money line, -145 up to -160. If I was to make a play on Casey O'Neill, because she is my pick for the fight, I would need below -125. But even then, I think I don't really like that bet. If I was making a bet on this fight, however, this is the play I would make. I think this has got a very good realistic shot of hitting under 2.5 rounds, because I think that Shayna Dobson, I think if Casey gets her down initially, her jiu-jitsu, she could keep going at it and maybe get a stoppage through that. Shayna Dobson, if Casey O'Neill maybe fades out a little bit, she starts to take over, she could potentially get on top, maybe mount up a little bit and rain some heavy ground and pound and get her out of there. So this is the bet I would make personally. I would stay away from the money lines. I would go the under 2.5 at +200. I don't think that's all that bad a bet personally. So yeah, I'm kind of liking that spot there. I'm going to go into the chat. There's a couple of new guys that have come in there. I'm just going to see what's up. Kiro the Tank, how's it going? I'm doing very, very well. Michael Ross, hope you're well, Michael. He's went with Tom Aspinall, Nate Landwehr, Chaz Skelly, Draco Rodriguez, Drakkar Close for a 1,800 parlay. Oh, good luck with that. Scotland's own, yeah, I always rep the Scottish fighters if they kind of go on and do well in the UFC. So yeah, not confident in Draco and Chaz. I like Draco more than I like Chaz. Chaz is a little bit of a flyer for me. I'm taking a shot on as a pick, but as a bet, I'm kind of staying away. Zahabi and Emmers are going to win, mark my words. Well, if they win, by all means, come back next week. I think Emmers has got a good chance of winning. Zahabi, I'm just not sold on at all. I don't think we'll see him in the UFC after this fight. But like I say, if they win, by all means, come in here and brag about it next week. So, yeah. But like I say, this is the bet I like for the under 2.5 rounds. What is Casey O'Neill TKO? Plus 605. What's by submission? Plus 790. Ooh, so that's not actually too bad. O'Neill wins inside the distance. Plus 385. As a whole, I think like under 2.5 minus plus 200. But I'm looking at this here. Casey O'Neill plus 385 inside the distance. Dobson inside the distance is plus 415. So, yeah, I mean, not bad bets at all, honestly. There might be some scope in there. I might actually have to have a look at this O'Neill Dobson under 200, under 2.5 rounds. It's something that's actually kind of I quite like a little bit. So, yeah, I'm actually going to maybe have a little closer look at that. Maybe throw an official bet on there. It won't be anything big because I don't want to mess up my kind of structure of how I'm going to go with that. But yeah, let's get back into this fight card a little bit and see where we're at. This is one actually that's kind of crept up, and I've did a little bit more research on this fight than I initially did from Monday, and I think I picked Alves, and initially I was actually pretty confident that Alves could kind of maybe get this job done here, and then I watched more of Sabatini, and I actually think this kid has the potential to actually be really good. I think he's decent across a whole host of areas, very tough, durable, doesn't really quit, doesn't really stop. Alves is big, he's powerful, explosive, kind of unpredictable with his spin kicks, and can latch on to guillotines and submissions very, very quickly. But he doesn't throw in frequency as much as I would like. I think if he threw a little bit more, when he does throw, he throws big, heavy strikes, powerful strikes, have to be very careful. Doesn't really follow up with combinations as much as I would like. If he did that, then I think he'd be a lot more of a dangerous kind of fighter there. And then when I look at Sabatini, I think that I looked into his kind of jiu-jitsu background. Daniel Gracie black belt, trains with Sean Brady and all those guys in Philly, I believe it is. And that's a legit he's a legit BJJ guy who's helped a lot of good guys. If you see what Sean Brady's like on the mat, then you have to think if this guy is rolling with him on a pretty regular basis, then he could be very, very good. And like I say, the fights I've seen, I think he's a stern test. I think that betting line, what it says there, plus 165, is that what the odds are here? Sorry, let me just check, because that might not be it. Plus 160. I mean, I was confident in Alves. I would never bet him at this number. Never, ever, ever. I think the value is actually probably an underdog with what he has there. I don't like the fact he's coming in here on short notice, though. Like I said, a week to 10 days short notice, that's not a good look. Under 2.5 rounds, I don't think that really happens. I think if Sabatini wins, it's probably going to be via decision. And I think that Alves can win a decision, but I think he's more on probably finishing the fight. So him inside the distance might not be the worst bet in the world. So Alves wins inside the distance, plus 155. Like I say, if I was making a bet on the fight, that's maybe the side I would be on is maybe inside the distance, because he is explosive, but he can get held up a little bit. He can be taken down and he can be controlled a little bit. So, like I say, I'm not betting the fight in any spot there. I've had a couple of people come to me asking about Sabatini, and if you came to me on Monday, I would have said, no, I don't really like Sabatini as a dog here, but I've watched his fight since we're on to Thursday night now, and I actually think he's pretty much a little bit of a viable dog, and I don't see too many people really playing this guy this week. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with my initial pick of Alves, but the kind of confidence has kind of dwindled a little bit in that one. This is a fight I've actually got a bet on, so I can talk a little bit more about this. Julian Rosa against Nate the Train Landwehr. I think this is going to be an all-action fight here. You've got the taller guy in Rosa, bigger reach by 4 inches. He can use it to his advantage in some fights, you can see, but he can still be hit and he can still be swarmed on a little bit. And this guy just seems to eat a lot of stuff and keep coming forward, except for Herbert Burns' knee, which he seemed to eat, and then he went down very quick. But I've never been super high on him, but I respect the way he fights. Going over there to fighting these monsters, 16-4, 18-7, 10-1. He's facing legit guys. He's not fighting bums. Comes to UFC, Herbert Burns caught him. Then he fought Darren Elkins, who's always a tough out. And this guy, once he realised that Elkins kind of posed no threat to him, he started speaking to Dana White and going there. So like you say, it's a pick 'em. I think the line's like -120 more on the side here of Nate Landwehr, -115. So earlier on, probably about 3-4 hours ago, I put money down on Nate Landwehr. And like I said, I feel kind of confident in the spot, but it's hard to be. I'm kind of wondering why it's line so close, because I see probably Landwehr -150, -160. I mean, Julian Rosa just doesn't really win UFC fights. Came in very short notice against Sean Woodson, stuck around in that fight. Once Sean started to kind of tire a little bit, the veteran savviness of Julian Rosa really came to the fore. And Julian Rosa has fought in these smaller cages in the UFC before, so I just don't think he can stop Nate Landwehr from landing something on his chin eventually and hurting him. And I think he will throw more volume. I think he'll throw more output. I think the line should be a little bit higher than Nate Landwehr. That's my opinion. But like I said, I've put my money down on Nate Landwehr, a couple of units, -110. I like the spot, but we just need to see it play out a little bit. If over 1.5, I think that's got a chance to hit there. Under 2.5, what's that? No, I don't really like that. Landwehr probably, I don't think he knocks out a Rosa, but I think he probably could. But this might not be a bad spot to have a little hit on if you fancied that. Plus 325. So yeah, but my pick's going to be Nate Landwehr in that one there. Like I say, I've got my money down on him. I don't know how many people out there have. I've not seen, when I went onto Twitter and put in both names, there's not been a hell of a lot of talk regarding that fight. So I'll be interested to see where the kind of money kind of flows within the next 2 days personally, and kind of go from there. So I'm seeing some people pretty confident in this, and I've actually seen some people picking Eddie Wineland as a dog. I don't really like that, like picking him straight up. I picked him because I think he can outlast Castaneda. I think if he can stay light on his feet, bouncing around, and just doesn't really get hit clean now. He is 38 years old. 36 years old, I should say. 3 losses in his last 4. To be fair, they are 2 decent caliber UFC guys. Castaneda, we don't know if he's a decent caliber UFC guy. He's only got 1 fight against Nathaniel Wood. I thought he fought a fairly decent fight in that spot there. And, he's 17-5 record, pretty much coming out of Combatchi Americas. And you've seen there 8-2, his opponents 10-3. So they're not the worst guys in the world, but they're not great. This is definitely a step up from those guys. Then on to Nathaniel Wood. I think Nathaniel Wood would beat Eddie Wineland, in my opinion. I think that should be a pretty fun fight, those two. You can see what Tapology is going there. 65% is kind of going on that. But betting wise, I wouldn't bet that. Like I said, I picked the dog. I would not bet him at the odds. I need a lot more to bet Eddie Wineland. He's my plus 100. I've seen some people actually out there in the kind of betting world, and some people that talk about fights. This one here, Eddie Wineland, plus 535 to win via TKO KO. I can't say I see it myself, but there is a couple of sharper people out there that have kind of said to me regarding this fight that Wineland could knock him out. And then I was looking at Castaneda, I was like, has he ever really been knocked out? Because I never really looked into it. I didn't really think when I picked Wineland, I thought he'd win a decision where it'd be a kind of hard-nosed back-and-forth battle. Lost a split. So I don't know if he's ever been knocked out. Lost a split. TKO there. So that was a way back, 2014. So he could probably take a shot. And Eddie Wineland, like I say, he's not really known as a kind of big knockout guy. So I'm sticking with my pick. The play, if I had to make on that one there, would be Eddie Wineland via TKO. I actually think that's not a bad one to have a little shot on, but not for me in that one there. Where are we? Let's get back into this and we'll see where we're at. I'm seeing a lot of love for this guy. This is the next fight up. Drakkar Klose against Luis Pena. There's a lot of love actually for Luis Pena. I was a little bit kind of, I don't want to say flummoxed by the amount of kind of love that's kind of been coming his way. I do think the line was high when it was. See, plus 160 now, plus 150. So this is one of the lines that's kind of shifted a bit because Luis Pena at the start of the week, he was in this region here, plus 175, plus 180. He's been bet down a little bit, plus 165. Now we're at plus 150. I can probably see that getting a little bit lower, and I can probably see maybe minus 160 that Drakkar Klose will kind of finish. To me, there's question marks, I think, with Drakkar Klose in this fight. I'm a little bit curious about him leaving fight ready and having an argument with Eddie Cha. I think he's a solid, serviceable fighter in the UFC. With his last loss against Beneil Dariush about a year ago in that epic fight where he was probably up, and then decided to kind of go at Benny a little bit, and Benny caught him with some massive shots, and a loss before that to David Tamer, which is a little bit of a worry. That was 3 years ago. Wins over Venata, Green, and Christos Thiago. So he should. I think he should beat Luis Pena. I think if you got on the plus 180 line that Luis Pena was on, then that's not a bad spot to be in. I mean, he's very long, 75-inch reach. I don't think he uses it to his advantage all too well. Now at ATT, I think that's a very solid spot to be in. I can only see him growing there. He's only, 27? But this is a big win because if he loses this, that's 3 out of his last 4. Will they keep him around, especially when he's kind of lost it? Like, these guys aren't super high caliber, and the guys that he's beat, again, not super high caliber. So, betting wise in this fight, let me see, where are we? I wouldn't bet anything straight at all. I think that probably close. I think he wins by decision. So what's the odds on that? Plus 105. Nah, I don't really like that. Luis Pena, I think he's got more of a shot of finishing the fight. And what's Pena inside the distance? Plus 400. So if I was to have a sprinkle in this fight, I think it would be more on the side of Luis Pena, maybe inside the distance, because like I say, he is very long, very big. If he can get on top, especially in a kind of top position, rain those elbows, he's always looking for submissions, very kind of crafty down there. And I think he knows this is a big fight for himself here. So, like I said, I'm picking Drakkar Klose, not super confident in the spot. I think he's got an opportunity to win via decision. So, minus 105 it was to win by decision. If you like that spot, I think it has a chance. But for me, I'm kind of just passing on that fight altogether and moving on to the next fight, which I am going to have a bet on, which is Jared Gordon against Danny Chavez. I think that this is, I think this has got all aspects of being a really fun fight here. 16-4, Jared Gordon, 11-3, Danny Chavez. And you can definitely see Danny Chavez has got a lot more aggressive in his previous fights. That was a brutal head kick knockout, by the way, this one here against Pike Vargas. Nasty knockout after harting him with some low kicks, which is one of his kind of tells there that he attacks the legs. And that's a good win over TJ Brown. I actually thought he fought a really composed fight for his UFC debut on short notice. Had a lot of big power in there, kind of disabled TJ Brown in the mid part of that fight. And then towards the end of the fight, he showed a little bit of his grappling, which he kind of did in the earlier fights in his career. But again, I still think this is a step up from that to Jared Gordon, in my opinion. But I didn't think he looked good there. I think he likes to kind of get into a firefight a little bit. I think if he does that here, he could be in deep shit. I think that if he stands and wants to trade with this guy, now you look at who his losses are. I mean, he's been finished. They're all high caliber strikers, in my opinion. Charles is now. Ferreira is too. Silva not on the level of those two, but very, very dangerous. And I like the Jared Gordon side here. I think that if he doesn't absorb any big damage earlier on, I think that he can lock in some takedowns Now, I don't think he keeps him there initially. I think he has to wear him down a little bit and be heavy with the ground and pound. But for plus 125, it's plus 120 here in the UK. I want to try and get that number. If I can get plus 125, I'll bet it at that. Because I don't know whether it gets any bigger. I really don't. I think plus 125 is where it will sit round about and maybe become a little bit lower. The money might come in, but I'm seeing a lot of love for this guy. And it's kind of recency bias in my opinion. But that's fine because, like I say, when you look at both fights, Jared didn't look good. Chavez, honestly, I did think he looked very, very good. But I just think that this guy, Jared Gordon, can come in there and win this fight. I think he can grind out a win in this one here. Like I said, I like the straight up play in Jared Gordon. So that's what I'm going to be making. But I think him via decision might not be a bad bet. Gordon via TKO KO. Oh, that's not too bad. If he can tire out TJ Brown, Danny Chavez a little bit, he could have potential to maybe finish that fight maybe later on. I don't see it myself. Gordon wins by submission plus 750. Yeah, I'm not really liking that. Chavez by decision plus 180. That's not bad. I think this is a better chance to kind of win the fight is through his decision. So. Yeah, I like Jared Gordon, honestly, in that spot. I think that I feel like he's a decent dog this week that you can attack if you're confident in that side, which I am. I know I've had a few people message me regarding this fight, and some are on Jared Gordon, some are on Danny Chavez, because there seems to be a lot of people on the Chavez side, and I seem to be kind of on the island over there where I'm on the Gordon side, so people are asking me certain things and regarding the fight, and am I going to bet the fight? And I am going to bet the fight, but I'm just waiting to see where this line going. I want to get plus 125 at a minimum, and I'll put a shot on them there. So, like I said, I don't know if people are going to be with me on that. They're going to be on the other side. They see value on Chavez. They think his line should be higher. But yeah, I'm kind of going to jump into the chat there. But Jared Gordon's going to be my pick. I'm betting that side eventually. We just need to get that number. So. I like a Arlovski decision from Alistair. We'll get into that fight shortly. Joe Joyce, Bozeman, Montana in the house. Will, what's the most excited you ever got after winning the UFC bet? I would need to think about that one, Alistair. I'll try and think of that while we're going on here. I'll maybe answer at the end if I can remember. Something off the top of my head. I can't really remember what it was. I'll try and get back to you on that, brother. I like Eddie Winan via TKO, part 5 or 6 that I've ended in TKO. Well, that's the bet that I said that you should maybe attack if you're betting that fight. I don't like Winan at plus 100. I don't like the value in that, but you're definitely getting value on him via TKO in that spot there. So yeah, but like I say, Jared Gordon, like this is another one of these spots, like I like the spot, but it's hard to be super confident because he could come out here and want to swing with this guy. And this guy's shown that he can sit in the pocket and he can throw some heavy strikes. So just don't do that. Fight smart. Use your wrestling. Use your grappling. I think he can win the decision. I think if he does that, I think he wins a fairly comprehensive decision, in my opinion. But Jared Gordon's going to be my pick in that spot there. Let me get back into this screen, guys. So that one's done. We're on to the main card now. And I think next up is the heavyweights. Yeah. Andrei Arlovski, Tom Aspinall. Big jump up in opposition for Tom Aspinall here from what he's faced before. Still very young for a heavyweight, 27 years old. 6'5", so he's going to be bigger than Arlovski. And Arlovski's a big dude. I've seen that guy. He's a unit. So for Tom to be a bigger dude than him, going to weigh probably more as well. He's definitely going to be 100% faster. The big thing for me here is, I mean, you look who he's for Alan Badeau, Jake Collier. So you're making a big step up here with a guy who can control the pace of a fight to a T. And if he does this initially, if Arlovski comes out here and does what he done in these fights here and control the pace, he controls what's going on in that octagon, then I'm interested to see what Tom Aspinall's really going to do in this one here. In that spot. Like I said, Alistair in the chat was saying he likes Arlovski via decision. Let me just bring that up here. I'll go into that fight there. Plus 205 on a dog like Arlovski, I think, is not bad. Honestly, I think that's not a bad spot if you're on the dog. I'm on Aspinall, not super confident, I'll be honest with you, but I do think he's got the opportunity to knock out Andre Arlovski early. So if you're looking at some of the props for this for this fight that I like, I don't think Aspinall knocks him out. Arlovski knocks him out. I think if he's going to win, it's going to be via boring decision. He's added like a lot of kicks to his game recently since he went to ATT. He just slows the fight down to where he's the one that's landing and he's dictating how this fight's going. So, I mean, Aspinall, he's a black belt. He's plus 1,800. Eventually could get him down there. Arlovski's not one for getting really submitted all too much. So, Aspinall inside the distance, minus 120. That's got an opportunity. Minus 105 there. Where's Arlovski via decision? Plus 335. That's the bet. If I was on the Arlovski side, you could obviously play him straight, plus 205, but I think more added value is actually on him via decision because he usually kind of wins his fights through that recently. So I like Andre Arlovski if I was on that side to kind of win via decision. But I just think the fast hands, the combinations of Tom Aspinall is just going to be a little bit too much. So what is Tom Aspinall in round number 1? Plus 185. I mean, look at the difference in that, plus 450. So I know there's some prop bets in the UK here where you can go first 2 rounds. I don't know what the odds on that would be. That might be kind of half of what that is. So in your plus 200 area, but I kind of am on the Aspinall side. I'm kind of getting a little bit more confident as the week goes on. I just watched an interview with him. Looks very confident. Looks ready to go. But like I say, it's a massive jump up from your Alan Badeau's, Jake Collier's, and then these guys down here who fought a couple of French guys. That was a horrible injury there. So it's a big step up, but I think he comes through it. Not super confident in the spot, but as the week goes on, I am becoming a little bit more confident in that fight. Moving on to this one here. This one seems to be garnering a kind of a little bit of back and forth between some handicappers out there. Nasiruddin Imavov against Phil Hawes. If you watched my video on Monday, my prediction is Phil Hawes. I have money on Phil Hawes. I got him at minus 110. The betting line for that right now is minus 120. So I'm ahead of the line curve now. I missed out on dog odds by a day, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I was in, I think he's got a high opportunity to win in the first round here, but he's also got a high chance of, if he doesn't get out in the first round, then he's got a chance of maybe losing in the later part of this fight and probably gassing out. He could potentially get taken out. So, like I say, I like the Hawes side straight, personally. I think the line should be a little bit higher than what it is, minus 120, in my opinion. But I'm seeing some very short people on the Imavov side, I should say, who've got plus money down. So, fair play to you on that. Phil Hawes inside the distance, plus 115, so you're getting your dog odds there if you want it. I think this is a very live opportunity here, plus 180. If you're looking at kind of wanting dog odds or on the side of Phil Hawes, this is the spot here. I'd be surprised if he does it in these later rounds, like plus 950, plus 525. This is the spot here. I think he gets it. Plus 180, that's not bad in my opinion, because I think there's a chance he does that. But if you're looking at Imavov to win by decision, because I think that's got an opportunity to do so, plus 350 in that spot's not bad either. But my money's already down in Phil Hawes. I like that spot. But like I say, it's hard to be super confident because you've seen him in the past kind of shit the bed a little bit. And that's something that you have to be kind of super careful with. But my money's down. I'm seeing some other people on Phil Hawes. That's always nice when you get other people that are pretty sharp in the game and they like that side as well. But again, it's pretty much a pick 'em fight, so not much between them in the betting line. Moving on. We're into the heavyweights. This is an interesting fight. A lot of people on Chris Dawkins, I can see why that is, against Alexei Olenek. I picked Olenek in the fight initially, and I still like it there. I mean, look at this record, 59, 14, 11. I think it's 45 submissions, and this guy's got a variety of submissions. If you look through his record, you go in here, and he's got like bulldog chokes. He's got arm bars, rear naked chokes, Ezekiel chokes from bottom. like a neck crank, Ezekiel choke. He loves the Ezekiel choke. We've seen that before. Neck cranks, arm triangle. This guy, if he gets his arms around your neck, I don't care if you're a black belt or not. And Chris Dawkins, from what I hear, is a black belt, 10-3 record. Haven't seen anything on the ground. His brother's very active on the ground. So in spots like that, you have to, like I say, if he can get this fight to the ground, I do think I can see him envisioning getting one of those chokes and falling to his fucking back again and catching one of these crazy chokes. And I know when I've watched it before, I'm like, how does this guy catch these professional fighters and stuff like that? And like the Junior Albini one, I watched it again today. I'm thinking, dude, how are you getting caught in something like that? Like, if you're supposed to be a pro fighter, I know if you're, and supposedly he's a Brazilian with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt as well as Junior Albini. I know everybody can probably buy one of these black belts out there somewhere, but Olenek is a guy with like heavy submissions, and if he gets you there, then you could be in a lot of trouble. But we've seen Dawkins pretty light for a heavyweight, very quick, very fast. But again, this is a jump up from your Parker Porters, your Nascimentos that he's been fighting. So I'm interested in that fight a lot. I'm not going to bet it. I'm going to go back into this here and see what it is. So the under, sorry, what am I looking at there? Olenek, what's Olenek by submission? Plus 235 for Olenek to win by submission. That's not bad odds, I don't think. Dawkins wins by submission, plus 2,000. Just throwing that out there. Can you imagine? Dawkins via TKO, minus 135. No, I'm not on that. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to be betting that fight at all. Fight starts round 2, is minus 120. That maybe has potential a little bit there if they kind of have a feeling out process and they get into that second round. But my pick's Alexa Olenek, plus 160. I quite like that number, but I'm going to be staying away. I'm picking my spots here. I've got a fairly decent dog that I like in Gordon, and I've got my eye on a parlay, which I'm hoping that I can find the right parlay piece for the other bit that I mentioned earlier on, because I do like Blaydes Lewis to go into the second round, and that's minus 225. I think that's a decent parlay piece for me, and if I can just find the right spot for that, then I could go in there and make a parlay there. For if I can get anything around even money, I'll be happy with that. But Olenek's the pick. Olenek via submission plus 235. I don't think that's bad at all. Derek Meinhat against Charles Rosa. This is a really interesting scrap. I'll go back into this screen here. And this guy, I mean, he's fun to watch regardless. And I've been looking at what bets could be made for him. Like, I actually quite like Charles Rosa in this spot, but it's hard to be like super confident because this guy just jumps on necks when he's got an opportunity and he does not let go. And you can do that with people like TJ Laramie, who's very young in the sport, not as experienced, fighting a kind of all-out grappler like Meinhat, who will attack things like he did in that fight. Plus 150, Rosa wins via submission. I think that's got a chance to hit. Would like more for that. The other one that I would like is Meinhat wins in round 1, plus 550. I think that's not a bad bet, honestly. I think plus 550 isn't bad at all because every opportunity. But I think if it goes into round 2, round 3, I mean, if you round 2, you're getting pretty much plus 825. But I think his biggest chance is he has to get this done in round 1. I think it has to be via submission. So, yeah, scrappy. Charles Rosa's a tough guy, though. You've seen in that Bryce Mitchell fight how he stuck around, was caught in some pretty bad submissions, and managed to kind of find a way out. But Bryce, like I say, Bryce Mitchell's a savage on the ground. I can't believe I picked against him so many times. It might be one of these spots where you get that with some fighters where you pick against them and you're kind of made to look like a jackass, and I have been with Bryce Mitchell. But the pick for that, like I say, I am going Charles Rosa. I'm actually winning. Let me bring that up. Right, Rosa wins in round 3. That's the one that I kind of like. Let me bring that up. If I was sprinkling on this fight, it would be Rosa in round 3. Rosa wins round 3, plus 775. Not bad. Not bad at all. Rosa wins by submission. Because I do think he can get it done. Rosa submission, plus 900. Oh, that's round 2. Round 3, plus 1,200. So that's my official pick, is Rosa submission round 3, plus 1,200. If you like that spot, then go for it. I won't be betting that one personally, but yeah. Don't particularly want to talk about this fight too much. I think she is, I want to say she's a decent parlay piece. I really do. Caitlin Veer against Yana Kunitskaya, minus 265 to plus 225 on Yana, the comeback on her. I think this has got a great chance of obviously going to decision. I don't know what Vera is to win via submission. Let's bring that up. Minus 120. Nah, you don't want that at all. This is a fight to me that I will be kind of staying away from. I don't like the unders too much. Under 2.5, like mine plus 260. This the fight to me, I think it's pretty destined to kind of go to decision. I'm seeing a little bit of love for Yana Kunitskaya, but for me, I think that Caitlin's a little bit too good in more areas and a bit tough and a bit more durable than what Yana is. I think she can bust up Yana a little bit. So, like I say, Caitlin Veer is my pick. I don't really want to talk too much about that, but minus 265, if she was to get to minus 250, that might be the parlay piece that I kind of like for this next fight. So we'll move on to the main event. Derrick Lewis against Curtis Blaydes. I'm not seeing too many people out there with tickets on Derrick Lewis in this fight here, and I can totally see why, honestly. Plus 345, I kind of think that should be a little bit higher, but not too much higher. The comeback is like minus 430 on Blaydes' side. I'm like, I don't like that. Like, if you could get on that early enough and parlay him up, then absolutely fine. I still think he's minus 350 here in the UK, so that's not bad. But I do think that I would like lower if I was making a parlay with it. I seen a prop out here, which I saw yesterday, for Curtis Blaydes by submission. Initially, this was plus 550, and then it jumped up to plus 950. In the UK, it's plus 1,000 over here, and this might be a wee unofficial bet of mine. I might throw on a little tenner, maybe even 20 quid if I'm doing all right in the night, and put it on Blaydes via submission, because I think that's got a high opportunity of hitting, because I do think he's going to rinse repeat takedowns. We've seen Derrick Lewis taken down in many kind of spots before against good guys, and saying that. I mean, Daniel Cormier's a stud wrestler himself, but this guy's shown that he can rinse repeat takedowns. He did it against Volkov. He did it against Dos Santos. He didn't really do it. He didn't rinse repeat takedowns, but what he did is he showed enough threat there to let his hands go. When he let his hands go, he absolutely nailed Junior Dos Santos right on the chin there and hurt him a lot. Shimon Durahimov, that big ground and pound that he's got, and then he beat Big Titty there in Justin Willis. So the bet, like I say, that I like, and it's in the UK here, is starts round 2. It's minus 225. I think that's got a really decent chance of hitting in that spot there. So I'm going to use that as a parlay piece, minus 225. I know with heavyweights it's a little bit sketchy, and I think I got caught with one of those not long ago, but I always kind of like those kind of spots, and I think it's got a high chance that he's going to get takedowns in the first, but Black Beast is going to use a lot of his energy trying to get back to his feet and make it in the second round. So I think the over like 1.5 rounds was like minus 185 that I saw earlier on, probably on Wednesday. But I like starts round 2, minus 225. I need to find a parlay piece to really put him in there with and kind of go from there. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at in this card. I'll kind of move into the chat a little bit there just to see a couple of comments that have been left. Populous Revolt, all predictors went Mavov, and you're the only guy who went Hawes. Very interesting. I kind of like being on the opposite side when all that's going down, mate. I really do. I think I like kind of being on that island where I seem to be the only one on one guy and everyone else seems to be on there. But like I say, they maybe be seeing something that I'm clearly not seeing. I mean, I've seen some of the things with Hawes with his gas tank, but I think and this was brought by a good friend of mine, Dan Levy. He was kind of fed to the wolves early on, like 3-4 fights in, he was fighting I can't remember who he fought in the Tough Show, but he fought Lewis Taylor, and then he fought Julian Marquez in the Dana White Contender Series. So he's been fighting tough guys very, very early on in his career. I think he's coming into the spot there where they're kind of matching up with, I don't want to say lesser guys, because I think Amavov could be good, but I'm not strong on him being this big Russian guy. I think that he's been away from Russia for a long time and over there in France, and I don't think that's a bad place to be coming from, because I do think it's a very blossoming kind of part of the area for MMA is France and Paris in general. So I like being on the Hawes side there. Hopefully he comes through. If he doesn't, at least I took the shot and my kind of gut feeling that one there. Will likes Hawes as well. I appreciate that. I hope we can kind of cash some money on that one there, brother. Why does no one like Arlovsky? He beats everybody who's not top 10. This is true. I'm surprised the betting line hasn't kind of went down a little bit, because I thought there would be money coming in Arlovsky. Now, that might come over the weekend, JC. But, yeah, I think Aspinall, he's interesting because, like I say, his base is jiu-jitsu. We've not seen any of that. You don't really see much of it in his amateur, like his pre-UFC career. But we see that he's got really good hands, very fast. But Arlovsky's got all the things in here to win this fight. He can slow this fight down. And if he does that initially in that first round, then he can win this fight. Absolutely he can. So, like I say, I'm on the Aspinall side. I don't think I'm going to be betting any part of this, no less Tom Aspinall comes right down to like the minus 200 area, which I don't think that's going to happen. If that is, then I think that he becomes a parlay piece that you maybe have to look at. But like I say, I really kind of want to stay away from that fight altogether. Sit back and see what we from Aspinall, whether we've got something there. I've seen someone has 10 units on Arlovsky. Yikes! I think that's it's either yikes or it's yeehaw, because if that hits at plus 200, it's red panty night for that guy. So yeah, guys, I think we're coming to the end of this here. 52 minutes in. That's flown by the way. Jesus. I appreciate everybody that's been in the chat there. This is something I really like doing. Love talking about the betting aspect. I know there's some people that are always messaging me regarding bets, so sometimes they can't make it in here, unfortunately, because kind of life gets in the way. But this is something I'm going to be moving forward with and doing the Cashlift every Thursday night. And speaking with you guys is always awesome as well. So, like I say, guys, if you like the content, let me know about it. If you want me to change some things up, let me know about it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Leave a comment with your picks, bets, any predictions that you have, any props, any standout props that you like. Then by all means, there's also a show tonight. I'll give these guys a shout out because they make a really good show. Manpreet, MMA Lock of the Night, Cody Saftik, propping you up. They are far more in depth than the props, and they hit on a regular basis, where I don't really bet props all too much. My record, if I was to show you my record, it's not the greatest look in the world. So they guys will have a show on tonight, probably in the next couple of hours. Go check them out. Yeah, so I will be back next week for the predictions of Cyril Gane against Rosenstrike, I think it is. So I'm really, really kind of interested in how Cyril Gane's kind of going to progress forward. Daniel Edwards, you're late. You can go back and watch if you like, brother. Appreciate you for kind of stopping by and saying hello and popping in there, guys. Until next week, all the best with your bets. Take care. And I'll see you all next week. Enjoy the card when it comes around this weekend. See ya.